Then loosen the screws of the DC plus and minus bus cables, as indicated using the Allen keys, and remove the DC bus cables. Next, loosen the screws of the brake cables, as indicated using the Allen keys, and remove the brake cables. Next, you have to loosen the 4 screws of the 2 shield plates, as indicated. Now, unscrew the 3 screws of the current sensor, as indicated. Next, remove the MK1 connector. Now remove one end of the MK2 connector, connected through a blue wire, fixed in the current sensor plate. The blue wire of the MK2 connector is a connection to the midpoint of the DC capacitors, and is used for stabilizing the voltage across the capacitors. Finally, you have to unscrew the 3 screws of the current sensor plate, connected to the bus bars, as indicated. Now, remove the current sensor from the 3 clips. The next step in the disassembly of FC Automation Drive C enclosure is the IGBT module. To remove the IGBT module, you need to remove the terminal plate and the bus bar unit first, and then remove the gate wires for the IGBTs. To remove the terminal plate, you have to remove the 2 cables connected to the brake IGBT. Follow by removing the terminal plate by unscrewing the 4 screws of the terminal plate. Now, lift the terminal plate. Next, you need to remove the bus bar unit. Let me list out to you the instructions to remove the bus bar unit. First, you have to unscrew the 4 screws of the 2 1 microfarad 1000 volts clamping capacitors, as indicated. Then, remove the clamping capacitors. Now disconnect the end of the MK2 connector, blue wire, connected to the bus bar. Next, unscrew the 7 screws of the bus bar unit, as indicated. Now, you have to remove the bus bar cables, plus and minus, connected to the bus bar, as indicated. Finally, remove the bus bar unit. Now, you have disassembled the bus bar unit. Now, remove the gate wires for the IGBTs. The next part to be disassembled is the IGBT module. Let me now list out to you the instructions to remove the IGBT module. First, unscrew the 8 screws of the IGBT, that is 2 screws of each of the 4 IGBTs as indicated. You have done with the disassembly of the IGBT module. The next part to be removed is the RFI filter. To remove the RFI filter, you need to remove the cables connected to the bus bar. First, unscrew the 3 screws connecting the cables to the bus bar, as indicated. Then unscrew the 4 screws, fixing the chassis, as indicated. Remove the RFI filter. The next part to be removed is the inrush PCB. In order to remove the inrush PCB, first you have to remove the connector TP1 806. Then unscrew the 6 screws of the inrush PCB, as indicated. You have done with the disassembly of the inrush PCB. The next part to be disassembled is the rectifier module. In order to remove the rectifier module, you need to remove the following. First, unplug the 6 strips of wires of TP1 806 connector. Follow by unscrewing the 8 screws of the bus bar unit as indicated. Remove the bus bar unit. Then, unscrew the 3 nuts of the RFI filter bus bar channel using nut driver. Lift the bus bar channel of RFI filter. Finally, unscrew the 6 screws of the rectifier module, that is 2 screws of each of the 3 rectifiers. Now, remove the rectifier module. The next part to be removed is the fan assembly. In order to disassemble the fan assembly of the C1 unit, unscrew the 2 screws holding the fan unit, as indicated. The disassembly of the C2 fan unit differs from that of the C1 fan unit. The C2 enclosure has 2 fans, whereas the C1 enclosure has a single fan. In order to disassemble the fan assembly of the C2 unit, unscrew the 3 plus 2 screws holding the fan unit, as shown. The final part to be removed during disassembling of FC Automation Drive C enclosure is the capacitor banks. For C1, unscrew the 8 screws, that is, 4 screws of each of the 2 capacitors, as indicated. For C2, unscrew the 16 screws, that is, 4 screws of each of the 4 capacitors, as indicated. You have done with the disassembly of the capacitor banks. With this, we come to the end of the disassembly of FC Automation Drive C enclosure. Hope you must have gained knowledge on how to disassemble a FC Automation Drive C enclosure, and I hope that this training will help you out in disassembling the drive during faulty situations.